The Tower of Babel, when unity became pride. After the flood, the world was quiet again. Humanity was few, united, and starting over. God had given a clear command to Noah's descendants. Be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth. But instead of spreading out, humanity chose something else. They chose control. They chose security. They chose glory without God. The Bible tells us that at this time, the whole earth had one language and one speech. Everyone understood one another. There were no barriers, no misunderstandings, no divisions. And for the first time since the flood, human unity reached its peak. As people migrated east, they settled on a wide plain in the land of Shinar, and there an idea was born. An idea that sounded harmless. An idea that sounded ambitious. An idea that sounded powerful. They said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly." Brick by brick, they began to build. But not just houses. They said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves and not be scattered over the face of the whole earth." That sentence reveals everything. This was not about architecture. This was not about progress. This was about pride. Let us make a name for ourselves. They didn't say, let us honor God. They didn't say, let us obey His command. They said, let us secure our own future. Let us protect ourselves. Let us rise high enough that we won't need God anymore. The tower wasn't meant to reach heaven physically. It was meant to replace dependence on God with confidence in humanity. This was unity, but unity without submission. And that is where it became dangerous. The Bible says something powerful next. That the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. Think about that. They believed they were reaching heaven. But God had to come down to see it. No matter how high humanity reaches, it is still infinitely small compared to God. And God didn't panic. He didn't feel threatened. But He did recognize something serious. He said, if as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. This was not praise. This was warning. Because unlimited power without humility leads to destruction. God had seen this pattern before with Lucifer. Unity plus ambition plus pride plus independence from God always ends the same way. So God intervened. Not with fire. Not with flood. Not with destruction, but with confusion. He said, come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other. Suddenly, words failed. Instructions didn't make sense. Builders argued. Workers shouted. Teams stopped cooperating. The unity that once felt unstoppable collapsed overnight. Projects halted. The tower stood unfinished. And humanity was forced to scatter across the earth, fulfilling God's command anyway. The place was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. God did not stop the Tower of Babel because humans were building. He stopped it because humans were exalting themselves. This story teaches a crucial truth. Unity is powerful. Progress is not evil. Ambition is not wrong. But unity without God becomes pride. And pride always leads to downfall. The tower represented humanity's attempt to create security without obedience, greatness without God, identity without divine purpose. They wanted heaven's position without heaven's authority. The Tower of Babel is not just an ancient story. It's a mirror. Every generation builds towers. Towers of technology, towers of wealth, towers of influence, towers of reputation. Anytime we say, look what we have built, and remove God from the equation, we are repeating Babel. God doesn't fear human progress, but He resists human pride. Because pride doesn't just challenge God, it destroys humans. There is a beautiful contrast later in the Bible. At Babel, God confused languages to stop pride. At Pentecost, God brought different languages together through His Spirit. At Babel, unity was built around human glory. At Pentecost, unity was built around God's glory. One scattered people. The other united them. This reveals God's heart. He doesn't oppose unity, He opposes prideful unity. The Tower of Babel asks every generation a question. Are you building to glorify God? Or to make a name for yourself? Because when unity serves pride, God will interrupt it. But when unity serves Him, nothing can stop it.